Hi everybody, my name is Kaylee, and today we're going to be playing around with the new Counterculture Real Effects. We're going to do a really cool ice cream drip, so you need the Real Effects. You need a tumbler. I have a powder coated prepped tumbler from Craft Haven. I'm going to go in with Grace Bay dispersion color because we're going to go with a mint chocolate chip vibe with this. I have my ice cream cone vinyl, and I have a little mix here of chocolate chips, little chocolate sprinkles, a whole little mix there. So the first thing we're going to do is apply our vinyl. So what I like to do, I already pre-cut it. I measured my cup and pre-cut it. So what I like to do first is pull back a little corner of my vinyl, pull down a piece to the side, and I'm just going to cut a slice off of this. This is going to help me align the vinyl on the cup so I get a perfect wrap. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my cup up. I like to hold my vinyl right where it's going to go. I want it more toward the bottom. It's okay if we have a gap toward the top because we're going to put our drip there. And so I just kind of wrap it around and make sure it's going to be even when I put it down. So I just kind of get it right where I want it, make sure both ends are lined up. It's okay if it's not 100% perfect. You're going to be covering this up anyways, part of it, with your ice cream drip. So you can see once I wrap it all the way around, it's going to fit perfectly. So this is called the hinge method then. What I like to do is make sure this part is fully down. And then I have just a little squeegee. So what I'm gonna do is keep my vinyl still in the backing, but I'm just going to push it down as I put it around the cup with my squeegee. And just get it all the way down. The squeegee really helps. And we just got that fully on there. So we're starting right away with, just look at that smooth wrap. No bubbles. You might feel a little bit here on the edge. All you have to do is just push it down. It'll start to stay in place once you kind of squeeze it down in. We're going to be glittering the bottom of the cup anyway, so it's no big deal. Make sure you check out Counterculture's new patterned vinyl that they're going to be releasing soon. So I just like to make sure that's on there nice and snug. Next we're going to go into the drip. So we're going to mix up equal parts of the Real Effects. I have 2 medicine cups. We're gonna measure out 1 part of part B, and then we're gonna measure out a part of part A, and I'm gonna mix them together then. I'm gonna let that settle in the cup to see how much I have in there. I have about 7.5 mLs in there, so now we're going to mix 7.5 mLs of part A. And I think with the part A, because it's nice and thick, we're just going to scoop some out. We'll let that sit in the cup and see how much we have in there. We'll put that to the side because I'm pretty sure that's actually going to be just enough. You want to be nice and precise with these measurements. What I'm going to do is take another popsicle stick and just kind of scrape it down in there. I know everybody kind of measures their stuff differently. Let's see where I'm at. We still need a little more. Again, trying not to add too much at once because you want to keep your measurements accurate. This is probably the longest part just because you want to get those measurements as even as possible. Now let that settle because I think we're just about there. So we need just the tiniest bit more. Just this little bit will do. That's definitely gonna be all that we need. So I was pretty close, but that's why I start with 2 cups first. That way I can get as accurate as possible. Okay, so now that I have those there, I'm actually going to grab some gloves. I have my CCDIY gloves here. And since I put these in separate cups and used separate stirrers, I can put this back in the container and save it for later. We don't want to waste any of that. And so for anybody who does not know what the Real Effects is, it's a super thick 2-part epoxy, and it cures to the touch in 12 hours. So when you read the directions, it says mix 1 part of part A and part B in a dust-free clean container with a stir stick. Stir for about 3 to 4 minutes continuously. And then we're gonna put it into a second medicine cup, the entire mixture, and mix again for another 1 to 2 minutes. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm not gonna add my coloring until I get this nice and mixed. So we're just going in with a stir stick and mixing this really well. And you wanna mix this for about 3 to 4 minutes, get it all nice and combined since it's very thick. And then we're gonna come back when this is ready to be mixed into the second cup. So this is ready to get moved into the second cup. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. So I have a second medicine cup right here. We're going to mix that right into there, or pour it right in. And now we're gonna mix for another minute or 2, and then we're going to add our dispersion color. Look how nice and thick that is. That's already very close to the consistency I prefer for drips because I really like to control where my drips go when I do them. You can see I'm scraping those sides very well. You want this entire mixture extremely well mixed. We're gonna add our dispersion color and continue mixing because we want this dispersion color to mix in very well as well. You only need a little tiny bit. We're going in with Grace Bay. This is the perfect mint chocolate chip color. You only need like a drop or 2. You can always add more if you need more. And we're gonna mix that up. Look at that beautiful color. It's a perfect mint chocolate chip color. So I still want a little bit more control of this. We're gonna mix a little bit more. And since you're mixing both parts, if you wait maybe like 5-10 minutes, it'll thicken up a little bit more to the consistency that you'd want for a drip. This is still just a little too loose, but again, it's a lot closer than if you were using regular epoxy. So we're gonna wait a couple minutes for this to thicken up, and then we're gonna do our drip. So something you can also do is add just a tiny bit of Nice and Thick from Counterculture. And that will thicken it up even faster, and you only need a tiny bit. You get Nice and Thick from Counterculture. And usually I use a lot in regular epoxy. Here I just used a little tiny bit right from my popsicle stick. Like I used a small popsicle stick like this and just put a little tiny bit in, and it was the perfect consistency. So when it can sit on the popsicle stick like this is when it's perfect for me. I know some people like it thicker. I like it just like this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our cup, and this is a super fast process. I'm gonna pull out these big chocolate chips because I want to be able to sprinkle my other ones. These are just kind of accent ones. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab my stir stick and I'm just going to keep twisting it. That's what I like to do to keep control of it. And I'm just going to swipe it right on the rim of the cup. Don't worry, you can go in and clean up the rim of your cup if you get any inside of your cup or over the lip on the top. And so I'm just going to pull that up a little bit. I'm gonna sit that down, grab some more. I like to start right on the lip first, and then I can always go in and keep adding more. It's okay if you get some bigger spots. It's going to add to the texture and the depth of the drips. And here I like to go and kind of smush it around, decide where I'm gonna want bigger drips, where I'm gonna want smaller drips. And I pull that right back up to the top a little bit, that way we don't have that lip empty. You can see I don't have anything like falling off. It's all just dripping on the cup perfectly. And so now I'm gonna go in, thicken up my drips with some more. And then I'm just gonna keep controlling those drips. This is thick enough that I could put it right on the turner after I'm happy with where my drips are when I put my sprinkles on, and I know it's just gonna do exactly what I want it to. So you're just gonna keep adding your Real Effects. You can kind of give it a little tap on your table to let the drips move a little faster. I like to control my drips a little more, so I don't tap it. I just let it do its thing while I keep adding. I like a super thick drip. I know some people like thinner drips. When it comes for ice cream cups, I like a nice big ice cream cone, so I'm gonna go for a nice big drip on these cups. Then I don't want to waste any of this epoxy. This is a really cool epoxy. It's brand new from Counterculture. I think it's just gonna add so much dimension. Look at those waves I'm getting in the ice cream. It's almost like a perfectly melted ice cream cone. Maybe just a little tappy tap. Let this keep doing its thing. I'm not wasting any of this. Like I said, I like thick ice cream cone drips, so I'm gonna go in with all of this and just make this drip really nice and thick. So one of the fun things with working with the Real Effects is you can actually kind of go around, give it a little texture to your ice cream, make it as realistic as possible. You know, it's not always smooth when it's dripping and everything. It can be nice and messy. And the amount of control I had on these drips was amazing with the Real Effects. So now what I'm gonna do is go in and add my chocolate chips. And you really don't have to worry about the bubbles. They're gonna come to the surface and pop. So now I'm gonna add my chocolate chips. And then what I'll do is I'll sit this on the turner to fully dry. So I'm obsessed with these really big chocolate chips, so I want to add a couple of them in. I'm just gonna push them right in. They're just gonna add a little bit of a 3D effect to the ice cream cone. And I have these sprinkles, just gonna add them all throughout. Like dumping mine out makes it a little easier to just pick them up and go. some of those sprinkles in there. Whoops. Move that one. You just put them wherever you're feeling it. I like to get a little mix of both types of sprinkles. And you can see I'm not getting too much movement on the drips. They're kind of sitting exactly where I want them to. And you can still see that I have texture in the drips as well. So now we'll just let this completely dry, and then you can add your decals, epoxy over it again, and that's really all there is to it. It was a super easy drip. The Real Effects are really a game changer for drips and 3D tumblers, or 3D art in general, not just tumblers. So if you have any questions, you can comment down below. You can find all of these items on the CCDIY website. The dispersion color, the Real Effects. I don't know that they'll have their pattern vinyl out just yet, but hopefully they'll get some ice cream pattern vinyl out, because that would be perfect. So I had this ice cream label decal that I made on printable vinyl. So I just added that onto the cup. I lined it directly up with the little diamonds on the cone, which made it super easy. And now we're gonna epoxy it. So here I am epoxying the tumbler. I'm trying to make sure I get as much of the excess off as possible because I don't want bubbles on my sprinkles, but we just want to seal them in really well. And you can see that my label is a little transparent. I did that on purpose because sometimes labels on ice cream cones are actually transparent. I didn't want that bright look on it. I wanted it to be kind of see-through so you could see the cone. If you don't like that, you can go through with printable vinyl. This is actually a label paper, so I think it's a little bit more accurate to what an actual ice cream cone would look like. I'm digging it. I think it kind of gives a little vintagey vibe. And if you put this on and you really didn't like it, after this is cured, you can put a second piece over top to make it a little bit more not see-through. Again, we're just sticking with a very light coat. We don't want to get bubbles around all of those sprinkles. And one way you can also avoid that is to use some quick coat. That also helps as well. If you try any of this, feel free to share it on the Counterculture Artist Support group. Give me a tag so I can see your work. And if you need to do any CCDIY shopping, you can use code Kaelee to save. Alrighty guys, thank you for joining me, and I hope this helped.